Hello, welcome back to Average Gamer Plays Factorio. Now, I've been doing a lot of thinking recently. I've not been doing an awful lot of playing the game. I've been doing a lot of thinking and planning about how I'm going to build my and design my large factory. The main idea, or the main things I've been thinking about are how to design the rail network. I was initially thinking, well, how to design the whole thing, but how to design the rails to connect it all together and make it look a little bit more interesting than just a straightforward grid, because I find grid designs to be fairly boring to look at. So I wanted something that was a little bit more, a little bit different from that. So I was initially thinking about making some sort of circular design with the rocket launchers and labs in the middle, and then the sciences around that, and then all the circuits and smelting around that, and then the ores coming in from the outer layer. So it's like an onion, really, that kind of thing. But then I realised that Factorio isn't very good with circles, and this would end up with basically being a grid design anyway, with just like, you know, square in the middle with the rocket launchers and the squares around that with the science labs, whatever. So then I thought about maybe making a smaller 500 science a minute factory just to keep launching rockets and doing research while I was building the larger factory, and then I thought, well, that'll just be a duplication of effort. And I was again thinking about having it in rows or something instead of a grid, so everything comes in from the, the left and works its way towards the right. Quite similar to what I've already got in my main base, where everything comes in the bottom and works its way towards the top. So I was looking online at ways to design the railway that wouldn't be a grid but would still be functional and sort of interesting to look at. And I was looking online at floor tile patterns. You've got patterns that are laid out in a wall brick shape or a herringbone shape or combinations of large and small squares. And then I saw an octagon shape, and it's like an octagon with squares in between the octagons. I thought, oh, that looks quite good. So I thought I'll have a go at that. I started trying to draw one freehand in Factorio in Rails, but it came out looking very wonky. So I tried to think back to the trigonometry that I learned in school, which was probably about half a century ago now, because I'm getting old. And I realised that an octagon is basically just a square with the corners cut out. And the corners, you can, and if I wanted all the edges of the octagon to be the same length, I could make the so the diagonal line on a right-angled triangle is the hypotenuse, so I can use Pythagoras' theorem to work out what length the other two sides should be for the triangle, and then I can work out the dimensions of where to place the diagonal lines for the octagon. So I did some quick maths in a spreadsheet, and I tried to come up with, or tried to see if there were any sets of numbers where, even though the lengths of the hypotenuse weren't exactly whole numbers, they were like close as makes no difference. And I found a few sets. So one set of numbers was 70, 70 and 99. So if you have an equilateral triangle where the two sides that meet in a right angle, i.e. for the corner of the square, was 70 units long, the diagonal would be 99 units long. Actually it's 98.995, but it's close enough to 99 as makes no difference. So therefore, if I created a square with sides 239 long, which was two lots of 70 plus a 99, and drew diagonal lines linking the points 70 in from each corner, and then delete the corners, I'd have an octagon. So this is sort of what I did. I designed myself this little measuring stick here, which has got a single rail here to mark every 10 units and two rails to mark every 20 units. So I can quite quickly just copy this and go for 70. So let's just sort of come over to this side. So that is 70. 20, 40, 60, 80, 99. Actually, I think I want that one to be on the outside. That's still 70. Oh, isn't it? Yes, it is. So this is now triangle with two lengths. Actually, I don't want that line going down there. I want that. Control X. Come on, Control X. Actually, no, I will have that line there because then I'll have this line. I'll just move that down 1 unit. So now I have a triangle with two lines being 70 units long, and if I draw some rails on a diagonal, that joins these together, undo that. Okay. And then I have this other line here being 99. And then I copy this, rotate it, put it down over this side. I would then have join those together. Okay. I would then have the bottom half of an octagon where this line, and this line are close as makes a difference, the same length. So we'll just do the same sort of thing. Let's get my measuring stick again. That's another 99. Rotate that. Just put it down there. Copy this whole bottom half. Rotate it. Stick it on the top half. And then join the lines up and get rid of these. Get rid of these corners. And turn these corners into actual junctions or actual corners on the rails so the trains can go around the corners. And then this is what I did to create an octagon. Okay. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Join that together. Join that together. And so on. Right, so you can see if I carried on with that, I'd have an octagon shape. And then, because I want 4 rails, I want to try and experiment with a 4 rail design. So I copied a corner, pasted it on the inside, sort of trying to get it all lined up. Let's say like that, and again like that. Just double checking on the number of squares in between to make sure they're evenly spaced, and just fill them in like that. And then once I had the octagon, I can then copy and paste the whole thing and then try and put it sort of next to itself so that it lined up, and I can have a grid shape of octagons. And this is what I did. It took a bit of experimenting to get it right. This initial design that I did with the lines 70, 70 and 99 I thought it was too big. So I came up with some other sets of numbers. Yeah, this one was too big, and it's not always easy to see just how big things are in a sandbox world until you, you know, put down one of your labs inside the middle of it and see just, you know, you think your 12 beacon lab is big, and then you put it inside this rail network, and it's tiny. So I ended up with this slightly smaller one that you see here. I can't remember exactly how big this one was, but I think it was 40 something and 60 something along the edges. And this is still quite sizable. That was one I was experimenting, because look at this. This is like a smelting grid, which I've already put down in the factory for you know, making steel. And I put that in the middle of here, and it is still pretty dwarfed. So there should be plenty of room in here to get some rails coming in, and then an unloading station, and then some rails coming out to take out the finished products. So what I've got with this version, I've put rail signals on it, I've put power poles in it, and I've got it so that it is tileable. And then these rails down here are just markers that I can use to line up the blueprint. So let me show you how this works. Just get rid of all this demonstration. And let me just pick this up. I think I've already got a blueprint of this, but I'll copy all that. And then when I paste it down there, paste it down there, and there, you can see when I zoom out a long way that this looks like a reasonably interesting pattern. And then I can have the labs inside here, I can have smaller labs inside there, and you know, this is what the base is going to look like. And I quite like that idea. I think that looks really good. And I might actually end up having another set of rails just sort of running around the edge, linking everything together so that I can have the mines coming in from the outside edges and just joining up with the grid at any point. So my idea at the moment is to build, if I draw an imaginary line to the left of where my factory is now, I'm going to build the solar panel array on the left of that, going westwards and northwards, I think. This rail grid network will be on the right hand side of that line, again going eastwards and northwards, and then the mines that I'm going to get the ores from are just going to be to the south, and I'll bring everything in from the south and maybe a little bit more to the east. But there should be plenty of resources sort of down there to mine and then bring north, and then I'll have the base going maybe sort of 4 or 5 grids wide, 4 or 5 octagons, and then just as far north as it needs to go. And then we'll see how far we get with making I'm going to try and go for a 5,000 science per minute factory. So I still need to do some blueprints. I had a go on this. There's one over here where I tried to sort of work out. So I started thinking about how many inputs each factory will need. I've decided what ingredients I'm going to be importing into each factory and then what I'm going to be making on site. So I'm going to be importing things like all the different types of circuits, iron and copper plate, stone, steel, sulfuric acid and lubricant, plastic. They're all going to be made kind of off-site. And then intermediate ingredients for things like, you know, engine units and low flying flying robot frames and low density structures and things like that. Gears and sticks and processing units and all the things that I need to make up the sciences I'm going to be making on site. So I'm working out how many stations I need to have coming in. So for red science, the logistics, automation science, isn't it? I think I can't remember which one it is. Red science, I only need iron plates and copper plates coming in, so that's only 2 inputs. Green science is only 2 inputs. Blue is 4. Purple is 5. Yellow is 8. That's the most complicated one. So for yellow science, I need to import processing units, steel, electronic circuits, sulfuric acid, lubricant, iron plate, copper plate and plastic. And inside the yellow science factory I'm going to be making batteries, gears, pipes, engines, electric engines, flying robot frames and low density structures. So all that is going to have to try and go inside one grid, and if it's not big enough I'll just have 2 grids making yellow science. That's not a problem really. So yellow needs 8 inputs, rockets need 7 inputs. So for rockets, in my rocket silos I need to import copper plates, steel, plastic, electronic circuits, advanced circuits, processing units and rocket fuel. And I can use those ingredients to make the rocket parts and the low density structures and the speed 1 modules. Satellites needs 7 inputs as well, so they're quite a complicated structure to launch a satellite. So this is the idea. I'm going to try and work out if I can get, you know, 7 or 8. That's 6 along there, so I could have sort of 4 along here and 4 along there, and have the input at the bottom and the output at the top. And we can see how we go with that. I mean, I'm going to stick with using logistics train network to manage my trains. And people are saying that with the new train stop limit in vanilla Factorio, you don't need to use a train manager mod so much nowadays. But I like the idea of the trains going back to a depot and being refueled at that central depot. So I'll have 1 or maybe 2 of these octagons as being LTN depots where the trains can wait and be refueled, and then they'll go off. And I can see myself having sort of 9 or 10 mines on the go at any one time, maybe for each item, because this factory is going to be really hungry for ores. It's going to really sort of chew through them. So we'll see if I can keep it fed. Other mods that I think I'm going to end up using, I'm still going to use Factory Planner. I'm going to use a mod called Ore Eraser to clear out the ore patches from inside the factory where I want to build it. That's just to keep everything neat and tidy. If I'm going to be mining that ore and I'm not going to be using it, I might as well just get rid of it. So that's just, I'm not going to sort of plonk it down somewhere else. I'm not going to create ore patches other than what the game naturally gives me. I'll see how far I get with just using the naturally generated ores. I'm going to be expanding the solar panel factory quite drastically. I think the factory of this kind of size might need 15 or 20 gigawatts of power, and I think it's about 24,000 solar panels per gigawatt, so I might need about 500,000 solar panels or more. So that's going to be and again, I'm just going to sort of have that as being self-contained, and the ore patches on the left-hand side, I'm going to keep mining and just using those to make landfill and solar panels and accumulators. And I still haven't worked out whether I'm going to be making the roboports and the substations included in that, or whether I'm going to bring them in from my mall, which is going to be sort of in the middle of the two factories. So yeah, that is my current plan of action. I'm going to use, there's another mod I'm going to use called YARM, yet another resource manager, and I'm just going to use that. That monitors how big each ore patch is, and it can give me a warning when an ore patch gets to like 10% of its starting size, so that I know that something's about to run out. I'm going to build another one, and I might design the factories to be sort of expandable basis. I might design something where a factory produces 2,000 science a minute or 1,000 science a minute, and put it inside an octagon, and then I can just, when I'm ready to scale up, I can just put down two or three more of them, because I am going to need something, I think, where I'm launching some rockets and just keeping some research going and just bumping up the mining productivity and whatever while I'm actually expanding, because I'm going to be using a lot of resources just to build the factory. So I don't want to have sort of nothing happening at all. So I'm going to sort of do something very, 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 very basic with some modules and whatever, but just do something in you know, where my main base is now, just to get some rockets launched and keep some research going, even if it's just sort of slow and steady. And then I can use the extra mining productivity to yeah, just keep the ore patches lasting a little bit longer. So that's my plan of action. Let's see how far I get with it. I think that's all I need to say for now. So with all that, I will say, see you next time.